So, you've probably heard of this new game called Palworld. It's a new creature collecting open world survival crafting game that borrows the best parts of Pokemon, Arc, and I guess kinda Satisfactory to some extent too. And it somehow worked out really well. I've been playing a ton of it and I think that it's pretty good considering it's an alpha made by an indie dev company for like no money, and it's somehow better than most of the big games that got released last year. But it's not without its controversies. With everything popular, there are going to be people who try to tear it down, and Palworld is no different. Some people are angry because it copies Pokemon, some are mad because they think that the developers used AI for some reason, and some are just mad because it's a game that tackles some very politically incorrect themes in a funny and, more importantly, fun to play. So today we're going to look into some of the complaints. I guess I should start off with how Pokemon fans are upset because they think that Palworld is a Pokemon ripoff that Nintendo should strike into the ground with their fist of legal might. Now, I'm not going to get into how weird it is for adults to be cheerleading multinational games corporations solely because they make a creature capturing game for children that they still play. Oh wait, I just did. But from what I can tell, Palworld should be fine. I mean, it's not like they used actual Pokemon. Someone did try that though and made a mod that replaced the pals with Pokemon, and Nintendo did strike that. But all of the pals are unique. They're not actual Pokemon. Sure, they might look kind of like Pokemon, but it's not like Nintendo owns every possible combination of an animal, object, plant with an element that could ever exist. Some of the models do seem kind of close to their Pokemon equivalents, but in my opinion it's mostly because they're based on animals. There's only so many ways to make a fantasy wolf monster. One of the ones I see pointed out a lot is a pal called Grintail, which people say looks like some weird Meowth variation from one of the newer games, but it kinda seems like Pokemon fans have just never watched Alice in Wonderland because the face designs of the Meowth is clearly based on the Cheshire Cat, so why can't you assume that Palworld's Grintail is too? To be honest, I think that they can argue that the designs of the pals are actually either just straight up parody of Pokemon, which is perfectly allowable, and given the focus on forced labor and guns in the game, basically the opposite of what Nintendo will ever let Pokemon do. If it is to be compared, it kind of is a parody, whether that was intentional or not. Disregarding that, all of art takes influence from other artists. All art is derivative. So this being derivative work, basically designed or inspired by Pokemon, but with no actual connection and using no actual assets or straight up one-to-one design rips, it should most likely be considered legally distinct if it was to come up in a lawsuit. We saw similar outrage from the Pokemon community, but much less vocally, about the game Temtem, which is way more of a one-to-one Pokemon copy than Palworld, which is, other than the use of cute monsters, a completely different genre of game. So if Temtem is okay, I wouldn't worry too much about Palworld. To be honest, I don't really know if Nintendo can do anything. I'm no lawyer, but I'd be pretty sure that the Palworld developers would be fine if they were in the USA, under American laws. But Pocket Pair, who make Palworld, is based in Japan, and I wouldn't be surprised if Japan has some pretty draconian and outdated copyright laws. After all, Japan is a country that had millions of slaves in the most brutal conditions until the end of World War II, only 79 years ago. Why did I bring that up? Well, you see, one of the other things that is just a tiny bit controversial, at least to a certain subset of very loud Twitter users, is that the game kinda has slavery as a core mechanic. Once you capture pals, you can put them to work in your base, and you can even set the working conditions for them, working them to the bone if you want to. Pals clearly aren't supposed to enjoy the work either, so there's not really a, oh, they're your friends, so they just want to help you out component to this. They can literally get depressed and sick if they are worked too hard. Oh, and all of that? Well, you don't just have to do it to pals, you can also capture pretty much every human in the game and subject them to the same treatment, which, I mean, yeah, it's kind of weird, but at the end of the day, it's not like they're actually promoting slavery, it's just a funny game mechanic. These are video game characters. They don't exist. How you treat them literally doesn't matter because they are not real. If you're the kind of person who gets upset at mistreatment of video game cutesy monster characters, you probably should never turn the game off, because technically when the game's not running, the pals and everything else you have in the game cease to exist. So it's kind of like they die. Unless of course you're a normal, well-functioning member of society who can rationalize the fact that video games are not real life. Most people play video games to escape real life. To be honest with you, needing to escape real-life problems might explain why there are people who are upset that the studio that made Palworld might have used AI to design some assets. First, I should mention that there is absolutely zero evidence that any assets in Palworld were made by AI. The only thing people can point to is that at one point in the last couple of years, the developer Pocket Pair seems to have made a game that was entirely about AI art, to the point that AI was in the name of the game, so it's not like they were hiding it or something. Also, considering this was apparently the first game they'd made their own 3D models for. The chief artist had been rejected from a lot of studios, and at least some of the modeling and animation was done by a 20-year-old high school student who worked for Pocket Pair in his spare time as he was working part-time at a grocery store. I think that it's kind of insulting to say they used AI, just because the art style is kind of generic cartoony style. These kinds of small indie art teams are the exact type of people who the people who are against using AI art say that they are fighting for. Kind of rude, TBH. The whole AI art debate is kind of a non-issue though, because no one that matters cares at all if someone uses AI. It's mostly just angry people on Twitter. Just look at any speech from any corporation this year, and you'll more than likely find the CEO talking about all the different ways they're going to start using AI in their business. The boomers have embraced AI, and so it's coming no matter what you think. Basically, while everyone who actually plays and likes these types of games seems to enjoy Palworld, it seems like the people who get paid to complain about games and not to play them, games journalists, have an issue with it and are drumming up any scrap of negative sentiment that they can find to write articles about. It's not hard to figure out why. The industry people would try to make Palworld lose its reputation though. They're scared. I think that the whole industry is scared. The games journalists are upset because they don't have a hold on the Japanese games companies, and they can't cancel this game because it doesn't align with their specific Californian ideals. The games companies are scared because this is just more evidence that big games companies have no idea what they're doing, and that there is no excuse for the trash they push out. I mean, Palworld was made by an indie team that had never rigged a model before, never used Unreal Engine before, and the CEO was personally involved in the optimization of the game, and it made millions and millions of dollars. Palworld has been in the top played games of Steam since it was released, beating out some super popular games like CS2 and Dota. Meanwhile, last year, look at some of the trash that American AAA developers put out. I mean, no offense to Todd Howard, but this team of Japanese people that kind of seemed like they had no idea at all what they were doing made a game that seems to have launched with less major glitches than Starfield, which had a massive team of highly paid and highly experienced developers behind it. It's just more evidence that the AAA model doesn't work anymore. Any random group of people can band together and make a game that will undoubtedly become one of the most popular and highest grossing games of the year. The Palworld devs didn't do anything special. They took a bunch of ideas that worked well, combined them, and made a game that is actually fun to play. They didn't have the biggest advertising budget, so they relied on the viral nature of the idea of using a bunch of things that look kind of like Pokemon, but not, working in like sweatshop conditions to sell the game for them, let alone the fact that there's guns in it that the pals can use. I think that one of the biggest contributors to the success of Palworld is the fact that it currently has no competition. Palworld is what people wanted Pokemon Legends Arceus to be, but instead, Nintendo did their normal thing of releasing a game that barely passes the bar for a AAA game, lacks any real innovative features, and just generally doesn't do anything new or interesting in the slightest. Pokemon has been so stale for so long that Palworld, while not exactly the same type of game, is like a breath of fresh air for people who like Pokemon but don't like the sameness of it. The same thing goes for Ark. People who play Ark have been playing the same game for so long, and now there's something they can switch to that's new and is actually fun, with the added benefit of not having to spend like 15 hours taming a single monster in Palworld. Whereas, don't get me started about taming an Ark and how bad it is. Basically, the big studios in the space have been big for so long that they've given up on actually making fun games and rather focus on just putting out DLC and the same games over and over again, milking their die-hard audience for more of their money. It made the market conditions perfect for a competitor to rise up, and now they're reaping the rewards of their apathy. And it probably helps that Palworld is kind of cheap too. So what do you guys think? Have you been playing Palworld? Do you enjoy it? I do. Thanks for watching all the way till the end. I'm gonna go play some more Palworld now. Have a great day, and God bless you.